You know the names, you've seen the plays, but what about the stories behind the game? Welcome to Honorable Mentions with Tanner Morgan and Quinn Carroll, two teammates turned storytellers, breaking down life, film, and everything in between. From locker room laughs to real world lessons, nothing's off the record here. This is
Morgan to throw, has time, lost one near side for Tyler Johnson. He has the catch at the 10, down the sideline, touchdown! What a play! He's got all the double, the one at the 10, turns it up 5, touchdown! Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Hey, welcome back to the Honorable Mention Podcast. This is episode 11. We're here with a phenomenal guest, quarterback coach at the University of Minnesota, and my former boss, Keegan O'Hara. Keegan, thanks for coming on, man.
Appreciate you, boys, and absolutely was not your boss.
I don't know, dude. I wouldn't have been able to do anything without Keegan. Keegan showed me how to do everything in the three and a half months or whatever it was that I was a college football coach.
I would not have been able to do those late night scout cards without Tanner's help.
I didn't know how to do it. So I know the coverage is Keegan, but how do I put it in DV Sport? I don't know how to work this.
No doubt. And then doing it from like the other end of like drawing up the card, and you're like, dude, I only have 10 on the card. Like, where's the 11th?
Yeah, 100%. It's like, wait, what line do I need to use specifically? I could tell you what he's doing, but how do I draw it?
No doubt. No doubt.
Oh man, good times. Keegan, you've been kind of a grinder in the profession so far. Obviously, you're a really young guy and have a bright future in coaching, but I want to start at the beginning before we even get to the last two quarterbacks that you've coached here at the University of Minnesota who have had tremendous success already. But I want to go back to when you first started coaching at Western Michigan University as a student assistant. Can you tell us and bring us in to how that started for you? Like, we love the stories here on this podcast, and obviously we're big Coach O'Hara fans. So tell us the story about how you even got into coaching.
Yeah, no doubt. Always wanted to get into coaching since I was young. I mean, you see the stories of guys, when they were in school, drawing up like things in the back of class on a notepad. Like, I remember my mom sent me something that she still had a book from when I was like 10 years old, playing grade school football at St. Christina, drawing up plays. And so it was always in me. And playing the quarterback position, you're kind of a coach on the field to begin with. And so, at St. Rita, played quarterback there.
Shout out St. Rita.
Shout out St. Rita.
Southside Chicago.
Matt Kingsbury. Southside. But, didn't play all that much like on the field. Was a backup. So it kind of pushed me already into that coaching role, kind of being a mentor to younger guys or being a good teammate. And but when I was done playing high school football, I was not done playing football. Many people probably in my shoes would have been done. Didn't start as a senior, split some time as a junior. And so I went on to play Division III football at St. Norbert College, was there for a semester. And I was like, I want to get into coaching, but why am I going to stay here at this Division III level? Like, let's just cut to the chase. So with the help of my cousin, Tom Harrington, who played at Western Michigan, did not play for Coach Fleck, played for Bill Cubitt. On Bill Cubitt's staff was a number of what would have been my new bosses at Western Michigan, Tim Lester, Jake Moreland, Lou Esposito. All those guys were assistants on Bill's staff. And so my cousin reached out to him being like, hey, my cousin wants to get into coaching. Like, would you guys take him on? They're like, we'll take all the free help we can get. So transfer there as a sophomore in college, 19 years old, and had no clue what I was getting myself into. I was just been like, hey, I'm going to go coach, go help be a part of the team. And got thrown right into the fire right away. Billy Vandermerk was, quote unquote, my first boss. He was the GA at the time. And he taught me a lot of things. So working with him and so 19 years old starting it. And my first position coach I worked with was the great Bill Kenny. And you should look up Bill Kenny. He was a legend, was at Penn State for forever. And then he worked his way over to Western Michigan and I mean, that guy's got stories upon stories, and
Yeah.
he carried around Coach Paterno's whistle. And I remember, I mean, many stories that he would tell about him. And phenomenal coach and phenomenal mentor.
That's amazing. And when you go into Western Michigan, right? So you're 19 years old, you decide, hey, I'm gonna hang up the cleats. I don't want to go, the D3 route and playing, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all.
Yep,
I mean, there's a phenomenal defense, D3 players out there. I mean, even
absolutely.
around us, UW River Falls had a great year. Their staff is now at Drake,
Now Drake, yeah,
and who knows what's there. That offensive system is very interesting too.
it is.
I find it fascinating. And their offense coordinator actually was a student assistant at Minnesota. That's where he got his start.
Yes.
I'm, diving into the coaching weeds here a little bit, but you told me a story when I got there about what you did when you were student assistant, just something you did to help make a little extra money. Can you bring us into kind of the equipment room and
Hmm.
what those hours looked like? Just what you were doing to try to make it work so that you could one day, be a full-time coach.
Yeah. So, being a student assistant, I don't know a single student assistant in this country that gets paid anything other than, hey, you get the free meals on road trips and you get the free meals after practice and all that stuff. So, um, what I would do to make money is I'd help the equipment room and I would do the night laundry. So I do the night shift. Taylor Jorgensen, no longer the head football equipment manager at Western Michigan, but I know he's still over in that athletic department. But Taylor's like, yeah, like you get 25 hours a week. However you use however when you use the hours is up to you. Just make sure it gets done before practice the next morning. So, I would, and how a day would go is we'd have practice. I'd go to my class, whatever, come back, do some film breakdowns, scout cards, do whatever it is to get ready for the week, and then somewhere between dinner time, 5, 7 o'clock, I'd go down and start doing laundry for the night. And then I'd go back upstairs to the GA student assistant office, set an alarm on my phone, knock out some work, alarm goes off. All right, go change the laundry, go downstairs, switch the loads out. And then before every night I'd go home, which is about 11 midnight, you know, go put the laundry back in their cubbies and be gone for their day. So uh, it was it was fun being in the equipment room doing the laundry. I mean, just
Mhm.
doing laundry. It's not like you have to sit there and wait. It was more
Right.
about just, hey, make sure you do it before you go home.
Yeah, I think it just highlights though a little bit of, especially now and coaching where GAs are becoming even less of a thing. I don't know,
Hmm.
right? Especially at the
Yeah,
Power Four level,
non-existent
right?
really.
It's just assistant coaches and then some analysts and student assistants, right? Are still a thing. But
Yep,
getting into coaching from a financial standpoint is easier than it was 5 years ago, right? That entry
absolutely.
level, you don't have guys making 15 grand as GAs grinding, but there's less of the Danny Collins stories
Yeah,
that we'll hear of. There's less of the stories like yours where you're a student assistant and you're grinding, doing laundry just so that you can make enough money to get by and do what you want to do, which is coach football.
no
Which
doubt.
leads me to you had a phenomenal, you went from Western Michigan to Ohio State.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about two players, and we'll get into Ryan Day and all that stuff too, and just what you learned from your time there. But you were with Marvin Harrison Jr.,
Yep.
and CJ Stroud. Focus
Yeah.
on Marvin Harrison Jr. first. What was it like being around him? What did you learn from how to coach receivers? Obviously you were in the receiver room at Western Michigan as well, and
Hmm.
under Coach Harbaugh, and Coach Harbaugh was the receiver coach at Western Michigan.
Yeah.
But how did you kind of continue to progress as a coach when you're around, one of the best receivers? He was the best receiver in college football that year, and obviously had a very successful collegiate career. But what did you learn from Marv? Obviously a legacy player too with his dad.
Yeah, for sure. I remember the first day that I was in there and I saw player workouts out on the field, and they had just gotten done lifting and running, and now they're going out there throwing with the guys. And I remember standing on the sideline, and most guys, is I mean, you guys both did it too. Like throughout the workout, the shirt eventually comes off, so you're out there just shorts and no shirt. And I looked at him and I go, I didn't know that there were muscles in those positions. I mean, just a freak athlete, freak physique, but a tremendous human being and a tremendously hard worker. And I think that's what separated. He knew he obviously had the talent, he had the skill, he had the God given abilities, he had everything that you want in a Division I athlete, Division I player. But what separated, I think, him was how hard he worked. He didn't care that he's the best receiver in the country. He kind of knows that already. He has it from his dad, but he learned that hardworking attitude from his dad. I mean, there's many times where I was in there shooting jugs to him. And then we got the cool toy where there's the automatic
Yeah.
jugs, which that whole thing. But
It's a
he's out
Monarch,
there,
right?
the Monarch, dude. Those things are
Yeah.
sweet. But he's in there all day long, just catching jugs. And I think that's where uh, a young receiver fails to they're trying to get their body right, but they have to keep going with their hands. And he just kept
Right.
working on that. And even after games, there's always these clips of hey, it was a loss and he's back in there. He did that even after wins too, because it wasn't ever good enough for him. And so he kept working and working at it. But being around him and being around other guys, I mean, Emeka Ibuka was the same way.
Yeah.
That was before everybody knew who Emeka was. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, I mean, he didn't play as much that year, had some injury issues, but seeing him through spring ball, seeing him through summer camp, that's I mean, you saw him in the Super Bowl. I mean, absolute
Right.
dude. And there's a long list of guys on that roster and that team that you saw how it was done at the highest level.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I mean, Quinn was probably taking his shirt off in workouts. I could tell you,
No doubt.
Dad bod
I
Tanner
was
Morgan
not.
definitely
I,
wasn't.
I was not taking my shirt off. Keeks, talk about the O-line at Ohio State. I mean, you were around guys like Paris Johnson Jr., who went in the first round. DeJuan Jones is on the other side of that offensive line. Just talk about kind of the history and tradition there and what you learned from them as they're protecting CJ.
Yeah, I mean, Paris and DeJuan, I mean, massive human beings. Paris was, I believe, a junior at that time, maybe a sophomore, and that was DeJuan's last year. DeJuan's still to this day the biggest human being I've ever seen with my own two eyes. I mean, how massive that human being is and
Wow.
how much he can move is just, I didn't know human bodies can move like that. I mean, it's just tremendous. And those guys were hard workers as well. And, to be that big and to be that athletic is crazy. And, they had a tremendous, two offense line coaches being Justin Fry is the offense line coach. And then the guy that I GA'd with, who I have tremendous respect in this profession, Mike Seleni, who Mike is now the offensive line coach at South Florida. We both were GAs there that year. I mean, what they did development wise and teaching the scheme and teaching technique, it was new to me. Seeing how they taught, they were a lot more, aggressive with stuff, and they were tremendous teachers. And I have the utmost respect for those two guys.
That's awesome.
I love it. I want to pivot. Well, let's go one more question, Ohio State wise,
Yeah.
just because when you look at quarterback play, this year kind of guy had some injuries and had to battle some things, but CJ Stroud, right? The way he entered the
Yeah.
league, what we saw when he was in college, I mean, he was just destroying defenses. I mean, it looked like just the total package, like a can't miss, literally kind of a can't miss quarterback that you could take in the draft. Ends up going to the Texans. Tell us about CJ Stroud, your time with him at Ohio State. What did you learn from him in the way that he commanded, the way that he prepared, and the way that he just played the position? Like, what did you learn from him that now you take and you go, as a quarterback coach at Minnesota, and that you'll take for the rest of your career?
Yeah, I mean, CJ, and that was CJ's last year, second year as being a starter. The number one thing, I mean, I'll never forget, it was the day before our spring game. And I know, Tanner, you've seen this picture before, but I was just hanging out with CJ in the quarterback room, and he was watching the tape of our defense as if we were playing, Notre Dame week 1. And it was going ready for the spring game. And I took a little picture of him, and I actually sent it to Coach Harbaugh at the time. And I was like, this dude's different. Like, he's preparing for a spring game like it's, week 1 of the season or week 12 of the season versus Michigan. And so that was like my first thing with him. Obviously, kind of laugh at it now, but so I was a signaler there. And it was a lot at first. I mean, being the signaler there, and I was a signaler at Western Michigan, but at Western we had 2 guys. At Ohio State we had 1. And having to signal the entire thing. And I remember CJ getting on me in the first spring, like, bro, get this thing in. Like, you're taking too long. Like, just relax. So like CJ helped me out in that part, but and then going throughout the season, I mean, he was in every Monday. Monday was a player day off, so they weren't in the building as coaches. We were game planning, but CJ would come into our past game meetings with Coach Hart and the rest of the offensive skill guys, and he'd talk about what he saw, what he thought was, hey, maybe if we did this, or he'd see something that we put on the board, maybe Coach Dennis, Coach Fitch, Coach Bailey put on the board, and he'd be like, hey, what if we did it this way? So like he was always thinking. He wasn't just out there just playing the position. Like he was thinking like a quarterback and an NFL quarterback. And he had those NFL characteristics very early on, especially in college.
Yeah, I love it.
Were you at Ohio State when they
go ahead,
played?
Quinn.
Were you at coaching at Ohio State when they played Notre Dame at Notre Dame week 1? Or was that at home?
So I was there when Notre Dame came to us week 1.
What was that like? I mean, you grew up Southside Chicago, big Notre Dame guy. Like you're now coaching at Ohio State, and you're the team you grew up cheering for is coming into town. What was that like coaching against the Irish?
No, that was I remember saying like 10-year-old me is so confused right now. Like, dude, you're on the wrong sideline, man. Like, and it was a big game. I mean, week 1, prime time on ESPN, game day was there. Again, I was just at the MAC for the past 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like now I go from, we were in the Quick Lane Bowl was my last game. Now my first game the next year is against Notre Dame at home. Yeah, Quick Lane Bowl, 2-time champ. No
Quick Lane Bowl vets.
But
all of us
it was
RIP the Quick Lane Bowl. Come on,
no
man.
doubt. I know
Seriously.
they're done with that one now. It's a great bowl.
More Foaling. It's just a shame.
But no, it was crazy to see that. And to your point, Quinn, like you said, the next year it was at Notre Dame. Like I wasn't there then the next year, but that would have been surreal, kind of being like the opponent going into Notre Dame, where from the age of 5 until my senior year of high school, I went to one Notre Dame game a year for my birthday. And
that's so cool.
Then the next time I went in there, it would have been like, you're not there for Notre Dame. Like that would have been different for sure.
Who was your favorite Notre Dame quarterback to watch growing up?
I mean, I had a Brady Quinn jersey. Jimmy Clausen gets hate a lot, and he shouldn't.
He does.
Did it pan out in the NFL? No, but he was pretty good in college, and then, I mean, the majority of what I remember is like the Tommy Rees, the Everett Golson years.
Brandon
Dane
Wimbush.
Christ for those Wimbush, Dane Christ, Malik Zaire. I was there for it would have been when it was Notre Dame, Texas. Malik was a quarterback. I went back there a couple weeks later, and Deshaun Kaiser was the quarterback when they played Michigan State. So
crazy.
I saw both in the same year.
Rooms, dude.
They did.
They had. I mean, like in today's era, that would have been almost impossible for them to have.
Oh,
but,
absolutely.
That was they had Deshaun Kaiser, and then they had like as Ian Book was there for forever, right? And then he goes off and rips off 2 great years. Obviously Quinn, Ian, but like it seemed like they just had a run of just really deep quarterback rooms. Obviously, you go all the way back. Jimmy Clausen, the story with him and Cam Newton's funny. Of what he asked for $1 million, and Cam Newton's like, well, "I'll just wear number 1." Whatever. We get into that. But
you saw
that was
that
an era
develop,
of like
though.
elite Notre Dame QBs.
You saw that develop at Notre Dame, though, when transfer portal started to open up a little bit. You didn't have as deep of a room, even when Ian Book was at quarterback. Like guys like Phil Jerkovic transferring to Boston College, and and now even to this day, like Kenny Minchie transferring to Kentucky. But speaking of Notre Dame and rivalries, USC is obviously the biggest rival of Notre Dame and always has been. But when Minnesota was playing USC in 24 at home, when we beat them, probably the biggest game of my career, I remember Keegs coming up to me. He was like, "It's Shillelagh week," because that's the trophy that Notre Dame plays for against USC. So for Keegs and I, we were we really had some deep hatred for the Trojans
No
coming
doubt.
into town.
And like that game too, like, USC and the tradition behind them throughout all of college
Mhm.
football. And that was actually the first time I've ever been a part of a game of a field storm. And
Yeah.
I remember just pausing on the side and people are just running past and I just was looking around. I was like, yeah, this is college football.
Yeah.
And that was something that I always wanted to get into. Going back to the coaching part, I never grew up, even before when I was wanting to keep playing. I didn't grow up thinking about oh, I'm gonna go play for the Bears, I'm gonna go play in the NFL. It was college.
Yeah.
And I think it's the tradition and the pageantry of it, and the field storming and
Yeah.
the bands, the walking in from the bus into the stadiums. It's that part that I love so much about college football. And you're just going out there just playing for the school, man. And I think that's what
Yeah.
is the cool part about the game. And the field storm was pretty cool.
Dude, no doubt. And people can talk as much as they want about. I'll let you guys. I mean, that was a phenomenal moment for Gopher football, and as a fan and alum, I mean, loved it. Right, huge
Hmm.
moment. Interception by a great player, shall not be named. But just a great moment, great game. Max played phenomenal.
Two rushing
Comes down,
touchdowns.
yeah, it comes down to the
Almost
wire.
fell. Almost fell on the
Crazy
first.
legs,
Almost fell.
Max. But people will talk about all the, with college football and the new landscape and that we're losing it. But in reality, yes, things are changing and they're going to mold, but college football is still college football. You're still representing a university, and yes, guys are getting paid, but what makes it unique and special is still there. Go to any game on a Saturday, you're going to feel the same buzz and atmosphere and energy,
No
right? I'm
doubt.
getting goosebumps thinking of August, when training camp starts and the season's right away, and that first Thursday night, at Huntington Bank Stadium, and that first time you get to sit down and watch. I know you didn't get to watch football the way us fans do these
No,
days, right? You're grinding the tape, hashtag Gruden grinder.
no
But
doubt.
it's different. And I grew up and Quinn grew up, we grew up college football guys. We love the NFL, but this is a college football show for a reason, because college football is
Hmm.
great and we want to keep it great the way it is. So
But
when you think about quarterbacks in college football, I'll let Quinn go a little bit more into the feels about it, but talk to us about Max Brosmer. I mean, we love
Yeah.
Max, right? Huge Max
Yes.
guys.
Huge Max guys.
What
Yeah.
went
No.
to finding him, and then what was it like coaching him for a year?
Yeah. I mean, Tanner, sitting there in the O staff room, you were still with us at the time, and Greg leans over to us. He goes, "Hey, watch this kid. He's in the portal." And we both were watching separately on our computers. And I remember we didn't say a word, and we just looked at each other. And we're like, "Yeah, let's go in on this guy."
Mhm.
And that was, coming from New Hampshire, and FCS put up ridiculous numbers. And um, bringing Max in, I remember his OV and that whole thing. And you know having to show him what we are as an offense, what we want to go to as an offense, um, was a big thing for us. And I remember, after he committed and everything, and Coach Harbaugh can go on the stories about this, about all his trips out there to New Hampshire and sitting in the coffee shops from 8 till 5, and the coffee shop being like, "Dude, we're closing. Can you guys get out of here?" But they're just installing, and they're talking about football, and they're getting ready. And I remember Max would FaceTime me at just random times, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, being like, "Hey, what's this? What do we make the call on this?" And I'd be like, "This guy's not even here yet." And so I knew he was different in that aspect. He was a true grinder. He wanted to know the why on everything. And I think that's big. He wasn't just okay, we just call this play, we just run this play, whatever. But he wanted to know why are we doing it? Why is it? Why against this defense? Why in this situation? And I think that separated him. He wanted to know everything about it. And it was a blast. And I learned a lot from Max. I learned how you know he watches film. I learned what works for him, what he does to get prepared for a game. And then we started getting into the mechanics of football and mechanics of throwing. And as somebody that went to so many different quarterback trainers growing up, shout out Don Beebe, the guy I went to forever,
That's right. Come on.
legend. And and then Jeff Christensen for a little bit, and those guys now QB era and those guys.
Yeah.
But so I loved learning like what Max looked at. There he is.
No
Maxie.
way.
Look at
No way.
Maxie.
Look at
We
that.
got him.
Oh,
What up?
Let's go.
are we live right now?
We're
The
live.
timing of that was insane.
Let's go.
What up, dude?
What's up, Coach Keegan?
What up, Max?
Oh man,
We were just talking
feels like
about
we're,
you.
feels like we're back into you. What are you guys talking about?
Just talking
what I
about
learned
what
from you,
Keeks
man.
learned from you.
Oh, did you guys
Learned a
talk about
lot.
what Keegan taught me?
No,
Ah,
we
you
want
wanna
to
tell
hear
us?
it.
Yeah, what do you got?
Oh man, I won't interrupt. Keegan, go ahead. I'll let you talk about me for a second, and then I'll talk about you.
No, man.
Just
You're all
kidding.
good.
Good to see you guys. Thanks for the invite, Quinn. Keegan, have a great rest of your podcast, and I can't wait to
Appreciate it,
watch
man.
it.
Special pop in.
Appreciate
it. All right,
Max
Max.
Bros for everybody.
Thanks for
Round of
crashing,
applause.
bro.
Round of applause.
I
Oh,
texted
man.
him.
No, for
I
sure.
texted him like right before you asked that question. I was like, "Hey, if you want to, come crash this pod." And you asked that question, and he was like, "All right, I'm on it." So that was perfect.
friend of the program.
Absolutely.
No, but he was he taught me a lot of, how he prepares, how different things that trigger for him, and it helped me with Drake, and different things of, hey, this worked for Max, why don't you try this, or like I've seen this work with other guys, and him and Drake and Max have a little bit different like learning techniques on different things that work for them. Like as we all know, I mean, Max was going to be a doctor if this thing wasn't going to work out. So
Mhm.
different things hit his brain as they would hit Drake's brain. And that's no right or wrong. It's just we all learn differently. I mean, I can tell you right now, I learned better off watching something or somebody showing me something instead of reading. I think Max was a little bit more of like he watched everything, but then he also liked to read like reports. Where Drake is somebody who likes to see it, and then Drake wants to do it himself. Um, so that's like learning from those two has been huge for myself as well.
That's massive. I mean, I think it's all about like, you're as a coach or a teacher, right? And I think one thing that Coach Fleck does a phenomenal job of is he talks about coaching the coaches. Can you tell us something that you've learned from a leadership standpoint from Coach Fleck in your time together?
Yeah, I mean, I've learned a lot from him, and I've learned a lot from how to, I mean, not at that point yet, but he always talks about like building your head coach book and,
Yeah.
learning like how he runs an organization, how he runs a team meeting. And I've had the privilege of going up in front of the team twice now in my 3 years, and now entering my fourth, and being able to talk, and definitely nerve wracking the first time. But
Yeah.
the second time doing it was
But
a
you
lot,
fired
was a
the
lot
boys up.
easier, and
You
He
fired
killed
us
it.
up.
fired him up. But I've learned a lot from him, and how to, he talks a lot about like learning how your position room learns, and everybody's different. So like what works for them. And I kind of go into that a little bit like with my tip sheets I make for the guys throughout the week. And I love making the tip sheets as the week goes on, and seeing what we've done as a staff to get these quarterbacks ready. But Max was one that where like I almost wrote it like a story, and it was all written out, and he learned it that way where it was kind of like I was speaking to him, where I'd make Drake's tip sheet for the week. It's a lot of pictures. It's a lot of like, okay, this is where he's at, and I circle the guys for him, and that's what stimulates his brain better, is seeing those pictures. But that's definitely something I've learned from Coach Fleck, is finding what works for your players and going all in on it.
Yeah, that's
That's
phenomenal.
so interesting. That's
Well-
so interesting to hear, like how just like two different quarterbacks in the span of 1 year change how they learn. Talk a little bit about how Max helped Drake. Like obviously you played a huge role in Max's development and play at Minnesota. Drake the same, but Max also played a big role in Drake's development at Minnesota and getting him ready for his first year
Absolutely.
starting. So talk about that. I wish Max would have stayed on so we could ask him that, but you were
No,
you were
for
there.
sure.
You saw it.
Anyway.
You saw it there firsthand. So how important is that
Yeah,
for a veteran to develop the guys underneath him?
It is, and especially somebody like Max who had so much game reps, and I mean Tanner knows this more than anybody, and you too, Quinn, with playing how much you did. Like game reps mean everything, and
Yeah.
somebody that has game reps teach somebody who doesn't yet. Max brought him underneath his wing, and you hear the stories all the time, and they are real. I mean, like those two were connected at the hip all the time. Um, Wherever Max went, Drake was there. Wherever Drake was, Max was not far behind him. And they're sitting in the back of staff meetings and they're watching on their iPads and they're asking each other, "Hey, did you see this one, Max?" And then they both text me. We're literally in the same room, and they text me in a group chat like, "Hey, did you see this clip?" I'm like, "Yes, we've seen it." Like, "Oh no, we haven't seen it. You should probably bring that one up." It speaks a lot from a position coach or position player, an actual quarterback, bringing that up, whether it's to the quarterback coach, the offense coordinator, the whole offensive staff. And I think that's somebody that Drake learned from Max, was kind of finding that voice, when to talk, when not to talk, when to
Yeah.
learn and when to listen. And
Mm.
instead of being like, "Hey, guy, like, we got it," respectfully, but
Right.
we appreciate your attentive, because there's going to be something that we missed as a staff, and or he sees it differently than how we're seeing it. So I think that's one thing that Max, showed Drake, and I think, um, as you guys know, Max was an early riser. I mean, me and him kind of had a little unwritten competition of see who can get in there the earliest, um, in the morning. And then that turned into Drake coming in early in the morning and doing the same thing and creating his own process and his process for the week. And I think the preparation, especially in our offense and really in just being a quarterback in general, it's the preparation that goes into the week that he learns so much about. We all know that Drake has the abilities to be the top quarterback in the country and
Yeah.
the arm, the size, and everything, but it's what's between the head that he learned a lot from Max. Um, I think Max would say the same thing about Drake, what he learned from him. And
Hmm.
seeing somebody who is so ripe and fresh, and he didn't know, I mean, down there at Fayetteville, Coach Wilk and Coach Casey Dick, I mean, they're out there
Hey,
just running four verts.
big change there
Big
though, by the
change.
way.
Yeah, I
Going to
know. He's at
Rockwall.
Rockwell. Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt. So he's we gotta make sure we go down there.
Home of who
Jackson, Smith, and Jigba.
that we talked about already on this podcast, whose
Yes.
quarterback in high school was none other, Quinn Carroll, than Jacob Clark, who played at the
Oh.
University of Minnesota, transferred to Missouri State, and had a good
Yeah.
career, and now is doing his thing. Played in the not the Hula Bowl,
Stride.
gosh,
American Bowl.
American Bowl. Yeah,
American.
guy Scott puts it on, does a great job. Did pretty well. Interesting story there. Take you behind
Yeah.
the curtain
Yeah.
a little bit.
Everybody's connected. Everybody's got 2 degree separation around here. But
Seriously.
no, he Drake was 4 verts, just let it rip. And what he probably taught Max without even teaching him was just kind of letting him loose out there. Like, you see it, just throw it, man. And I mean, they both played off each other very well that year.
That's so cool.
That's fantastic. I wish I would have done that a little bit more earlier in my career too. As I look back, of just you want to be, it's that perfectionist where you try to, hey, I want to do really well for the team. I want to take care of the ball, especially when you're in at that time it was just strictly RPO system. Make the right read, make the right decision, keep the team going instead of just playing free and cutting it loose, because you play so much better that way. Talk to us about quarterback play. What are some of the top traits you see in the best quarterbacks in the country from a collegiate perspective? And then also when you're recruiting high school quarterbacks or portal quarterbacks.
Yeah. From what you see from the play in terms of like all throughout college football, I think the guys that you see, I mean, we always make fun of the guys that clap their hands. And just kind of look over the sideline. Like that was how everybody did everything though. I mean, for the span from whatever, let's say 2014 till 2021, 22, everybody did it. That was the trend. And but everybody's offenses were the same with the RPOs and all those things. Um and I think what we look for now is like when we see a quarterback that, we respect in our quarterback room, or just respect as coaches, is like somebody you see them going up to the line of scrimmage and making things happen. They're not just back there just clapping their hands or calling a cadence and just going out on the play, but you see them actually like running an offense and owning a line of scrimmage. Obviously, everybody, if you're at this level, you can throw it or you can run it. Like,
Mhm.
everybody's got that. You wouldn't be here if you couldn't do that. But it's the, handling an offense, handling a drive, going up to the line of scrimmage, making checks, making different reads that, we look for. Like, okay, I respect that guy. Like, I see he's changing protection, or I see he's moving a run from one side to the other. I think those are the things that really separate somebody. The arm talent, everybody's got it at this level, some better than others, but they all have it. But kind of going into, a little bit of the recruiting part, whether it's the portal or high school recruiting, and we talk about it all the time, is recall and
Mm.
what they remember. Um, and this is something that Coach Harbaugh was really the first onto it. But I definitely believe in it as well, is how you can remember something that happened before and let it teach you something in a play down the line. Um, Maybe you're taking a look from a practice and now, oh, I saw it again. But how long ago did I see it again? Did I see it again the next practice, the next drive? It's all about creating those pictures, creating a Rolodex in your head.
Mm.
And I mean, you know, remembering different things to help you down the line. And that's something that I think goes unnoticed. And it's something that we look for in recruiting, is like, you know, do you remember this play that you ran? Like, I can remember things that happened in the
Mm.
24 season, anything that happened in the 25 season, so that we can teach back off of that clip. And I remember Drake comes up all the time, be like, hey, I saw that look. I saw that look in their game versus so and so. There was the same look there. Um, that's something that is not common. You see all the time, like the stuff with McVay and
Yeah.
Stafford. Those guys talk about like the different plays, and it was always a big thing about, all right, Sean, like this time, this quarter, this game, this week, tell us what the play was, and he can do it. But that's something that he remembers, and it helps him going forward in different games. And other things just with the high school and the portal thing is accuracy and timing. I mean, we know not everybody on a high school team is going to go play Division I football,
Right.
but are you are you on time with your throws? Are you hitting the point where it's supposed to be when he's coming out of a break? Are you just running around, or are you staying in the pocket? Um, Different things like that stand out to us. Are you taking care of the ball? I mean, I don't look at a lot of numbers when it comes to high school in terms of stats.
Mm.
To that same point where, like, I don't know who's on your team. I don't know if anybody's who's good, who's not. But are you turning the ball over, or are you like taking care of the ball? That's the number one thing, is touchdown to turnover ratio that I keep an eye on, because if your turnovers are down, you're
Mhm.
at least processing something in your brain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, you guys, I know you absolutely cannot comment on this, but I know the quarterback room, recruiting wise, for the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers, is pretty loaded. 2 commits. One of them is Jet Feeney, right? Maybe we can say his name, maybe we
Go
cannot. But I'll just
Spuds.
talk about a play that I saw at the state championship game that I was fired up about. And I remember I think I texted you like, "Yo, this kid is tough." And I know you guys had been recruiting him for a long time, and Keegan's not even on this. I'm talking to Quinn right now. And Quinn, when I'm
We were
talking to
there.
you, right? He's sitting right next to me, and they were an empty lot with David, with the guys that they had, right? A trio. Quinn and I are gonna spend more time on that when you're not here. We don't want to get you in trouble at all. And Keegan cannot comment on this at all. But I think he runs to his right. He gets to the one, helmet pops off. He has to come out of play. I think they burned a timeout. Helmet comes off, boom, stands right back up, puts the helmet on, no big deal. Doesn't get any jawing, puts the helmet back on, runs to the sideline. They burn a timeout. He goes back in the game. They go score the next play. And I'm sitting there as a fan of former quarterback. I'm like, that was badass. I
Yeah.
like that kid. I like that kid a lot. That was something that I can get behind. That'll rally the troops a little bit. So I know
Well,
you guys are doing a great
Tanner
job
and I were
recruiting.
sitting in that end zone. We were sitting in that like back corner of the end zone, and we saw him get lit up by like 4 dudes, and his helmet comes off. We were like, "Oh shit, he might be out." And then, obviously came back to put up a good fight. Hornets took it to him. Sorry about it, but
Go Hornets.
Keegan,
We love the Hornets too.
we won't talk recruiting anymore because we actually want to hear you speak. But you mentioned how Drake came to the sideline and be like, "Oh, I saw that look in practice," or "I saw that look against this opponent." How special is it for you to be on the field with the guys? I know Coach Harbaugh's up in the box calling most of the plays, but you get to be, kind of their guy on the sideline. You get to, have those conversations with them. So talk about how special that is.
Great coaching fits too, by the way.
Yeah.
Cannot
Oh
tell
yeah,
you.
the hat
No
game is
doubt.
so strong.
Yeah, it's up there.
You need something. You need a little swag, changing up
Yeah.
the hat every once in a while. But no, it's awesome being on the sideline with them and being able to talk. I mean, the use of the iPads now is huge. Um, being able to show them a picture and, it's not really what I'm showing them is earth shattering to them. It's more of like, hey, here's that same look, or, if there's that look again, he's in this position. Let's get to this play or let's get to that. But it's more of like, I can just sit there and talk with them and be like, hey, what did you see? This is what I saw. Confirm it with the iPad. It's more of a sounding board for them to, so that they can process and speak what actually is going on in their head, and making sure that they're seeing it correctly. Coach Harbaugh still talks to them, and as a quarterback and the play caller, I mean, they got to be married at the hip, and they do a great job. And a lot of times too, where Coach Harbaugh can't get to him, so like maybe he says something to me, or like and I started picking up what he's saying, whether it's Coach Callie or to somebody else on the sideline, and I'll be like, "Hey, this thing's gonna come back up when he talks to you on the phone," or like, "Be ready for this," or maybe I can get the answer to him quickly so that we can keep the line of communication flowing from a staff standpoint, where I can hear what Drake said and I can relay that communication upstairs of the box. But being on there with both Max and Drake the last 2 years has been awesome. As you guys know, I'm not one that's gonna get in somebody. I feel like I'm pretty laid back and uh, not necessarily as a friend type per se, but somebody that they can like come to and speak to and not feel like, oh man, like I come off sidelines like I'm gonna get ripped for that one. No, like dude, just come talk to me. Like
Mhm.
we're good. Move on with the next drive. There's more football to keep going.
Do you feel like when you're the coordinator calling the plays, that'll change a little bit, or do you think you'll still stay that way? Obviously, we're thinking hypothetical in the future here,
Yeah.
right? But I just
No,
find it interesting.
I think that's just never been my personality. Has never been me. I think going back to even when I was, playing grade school football, like I wasn't one that not meshed well, but attracted to somebody that was getting on me or yelling. I think I always like when somebody would have a conversation because I want to learn. I don't want to just get told like what was wrong. Like teach me why I was wrong.
Mhm.
And I think I don't think it's gonna be something that has me. But who knows? I mean, we'll see what happens on the line, but I don't think that's something that's in my DNA and my personality that's gonna be that way. Now, if it's something that I'm passionate about and it has to be this way or something like that, yeah, I may get that, but you're not gonna see me go red per se.
I love that reference, by the way. Tell us a little bit about for the Gopher fans that are listening, some major additions in the portal for this receiver group coming in, right? And that's a very important group for Drake Lindsay and for you as a quarterback coach and you guys as an offense, and really, obviously, for the entire team. Isaac Frichte takes over there. Obviously, we got huge friend of the podcast, Coach Nick Foss, doing a great job. You know, shout out Nick, just awesome
That's a
dude.
South
Does a
Bend
phenomenal
guy.
job.
Back to the hey, South Bend guy and back to the Western days as well. I
That's
mean,
right.
Nick was on the when I first got there in 2018. Nick was on the defensive staff. 18-19, he was on defense, and I was on offense as a student assistant. And then 2020, when Coach Harbaugh came there, he moves over to offense. So I've been with Nick. I mean, Nick's my brother. That's
Yeah.
my guy.
Yeah, and Nick was a GA my senior year, 6th year when
Mhm.
Straka came back to be the offensive coordinator for a year before he left to go to Rutgers. And yeah, Nick's great, and you guys have a phenomenal offensive staff. You know, Coach
Yeah.
Taylor, Coach Frichty, Coach Callahan, the legend, Mo Ibrahim,
Shout
running
out
back
Callie.
coach. I mean, it's awesome. I get serious FOMO thinking about you guys in there game planning. Not that that's what I'm and applying at all, but you guys have a phenomenal staff that does a phenomenal job. You guys are great. Obviously led by Coach Fleck. It's awesome. We love what you guys are doing, game plan, and excited for this year coming up. But who are you guys really excited about as a staff as you get ready for spring ball, right? And you never know. Like spring ball, you might have somebody pop out to you like, I did not expect that. Where'd
Mhm.
that guy come from? Like we weren't thinking you were going to do this. Maybe would have paid you a little bit more. I don't know. But who are you really excited about, right? You don't have to give us the whole list of names. You don't have to single out certain guys. But man, as you guys are getting ready to go here in a couple weeks, you know, spring ball, practice one, Indy one. But when that first scrimmage happens, who are you like, man, I really want to see what this guy does?
Yeah, no, we've had a lot of good additions to not only just the receiver room, but the entire offense and team in general. Um, Definitely have upgraded all throughout the entire program, whether it's staff or with the players. But no, in the receiver room, like Coach Frichty and Coach Foss have done a phenomenal job this offseason as we get ready for spring ball. But Javon Tracy and Jalen Smith, I mean, returning guys that have definitely made a lot of progress over the last couple weeks and couple months that have become the leaders in that room. What they did last year was great, and we always talk about changing your best, and now they got to change their best for this season, and they've done a phenomenal job. And I love the way that they've led that room. The way that they're leading through example. They're leading through being vocal, whether it's in the weight room, in some of our meetings that we've already had, in some of the walkthroughs and individual work. Those two have done a phenomenal job, and they're bringing the rest of the room with them, with the other additions, whether they're transfers or the freshmen we have. And I think people are going to be excited about not only just the receiver room, like I said, but the running back room's loaded. Darius coming back again. I talked about earlier with Max and game reps, like game reps across the board. I mean, you got
Yeah.
3 returning guys on the O line. You got Darius coming back with more reps. Guys in the tight end room coming back with more reps, and um, obviously quarterback coming back again for his second year. So, I'm really excited to get going here in spring ball with them, putting it all together, work things out, whether it's with scheme, technique, fundamentals, all that. Spring ball is a lot of fun for us coaches because it's something where, we don't have a game coming up in 4 weeks. It's not the beginning of training camp, or it's not middle of the season where you're caught up in like, okay, this is this week's opponent. Like, it's more about technique and fundamentals and just getting good at football.
Mhm.
It's truly spring ball. These 15 practices is ball, and that's all it is. It's not getting ready for a certain look or this is the run we're running this week. No, it's, let's go put the ball down and get better at football.
I love spring ball, dude. I miss it.
Fire me up.
I
Fire me
miss
up, Coach
spring
O'Hara.
ball.
Let's go.
Like, it's a
No
grind,
doubt.
obviously, those towards practice, basically after practice 10, you're like, all right, when's this over? But gosh, those first few practices are so fun. Just getting to hit someone
Dude,
again.
there's nothing better though than when you get to like practice 13 and you're playing well, practicing well as
Mhm.
a unit, and you
Yeah.
finish on a high note, and you're like, all right, we got like a week and a half off now. Like, let's
Yeah.
ride. We just
Yeah,
got better. We got after it. Summer's
Or
around the
something
corner.
for sure.
something that Pat Coogan shouted out. I don't know if you saw it, Keegs, but
I
when we
did.
had
I
Pat
heard that
on,
one.
yeah, his honor roll being those Saturdays after practice when it's nice out. Like
No
it's
doubt.
nice out in Minnesota now. So,
No
um,
doubt.
Keegs, I know you got probably a ton of stories just in your handful of years here at Minnesota, but what would you say is your favorite memory as a Gopher? Um,
Hmm.
coaching for this squad.
Yeah, I mean, obviously talked about earlier about the USC game, but that same year, I think the Illinois game is forgotten
Yes.
about a lot. Um, That Illinois game was a lot of fun. Obviously, being from Chicago, my brother went to Illinois. I had a bunch of friends that either played at Illinois or just went there. I can tell you many stories of my trips to Champaign, Illinois. I can tell you about them. I don't remember most of them, but I can tell you a few stories. But no, going there, and they were a ranked opponent at the time, and beating them at their place. And I know if you talked with Max again and asked him about that game, I mean, I remember him coming out from warmups and him not feeling the best. Um, and that was a gritty game on his part, gritty game as an offense that we had to find one and pull it out.
Yeah.
And obviously the strip sack or the tip by Jaw at the end there. And
Yeah.
but no, that was a cool game going to Illinois and a place that not necessarily I was a fan of, but remember going there. Obviously, the Illinois State championships were played there when I was a little kid, and going to
Cool.
those. And so, Illinois game in 24 was a lot of fun.
That's got to be up there for me too. Like USC game 1, Illinois might be 2. Just like
Yeah,
that was such an electric game, and the year prior we were so close to beating Illinois
so
at
close.
home. Fell
Mhm.
short, unfortunately, but God, beating Bielema
That's
too felt good.
That's a tough defense overall to go against that had a lot of people in the conference stooped for a while, right?
It is.
No
It is.
doubt.
It's not something that you see on a daily basis. I mean, uh, preparing for that week, the week before we even played them, as like the breakdown guy at that point, and going through all that, it puts your head in a pretzel for a little bit until like you've watched enough and you're like, all right, now I've figured out, or like I can break this apart, and uh, how they handled motions and how they ran. I mean,
Yeah.
looking at it, it was just cover 2 and man free, but
Right.
it all looked the same, and it was okay when the ball snapped. Where do they go to now?
Yeah, and
Um,
who are you looking at? Because the post safety could be the middle third guy in Tampa, but in
no
cover 3,
doubt.
really, that's still 3 deep.
And back to the season, which is a whole fad of all these press conferences, pure progressions. That was a big pure progression game.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's so true. What's crazy too is like obviously, we can get on the Twitter debates on QB world and X, I should say, right, all the time
Yeah.
about, well, pure if you pure progression read something, you must not be a smart quarterback. Well, like,
No.
okay, well, why? Because like you might be playing a defense where you have no idea what they're doing because the disguises are so great. People don't realize that football is cyclical, right? Like you look at college football right now. What are teams doing? What are you guys doing? Hey, let's huddle up. We got the system and the quarterbacks here now. The coach come, we're gonna give them 2 plays, maybe even 3 plays. You guys are running that West Coast system, right? Very Vikings-esque, Shanahan tree, obviously
Mm-hmm.
Coach Harbaugh, and you guys have made it your own to what works for y'all on a week-to-week basis, but then also as a scheme. But it drives me nuts because, like, yeah, RPOs were great 5 years ago, but nobody's running
Everybody found out
12
how to defend it.
slot glances a game anymore. Back in the day, you could hit one and it could piece for 60, and that's a touchdown. And well, great. And then like we could get into those conversations, but like pure progression reads, like you said, against those defenses that play all these crazy disguises, and they're really good at a few coverages and making it really complex for the quarterback. Well, if the quarterback knows what's open and what's not, and how to go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, or 1 to 2 to 3 to start the second play, and you do that enough times at a high clip, you're going to be successful offensively.
No doubt. And going into that too, something I learned from, being at Ohio State, and, now that we have 2 very good quarterbacks, Max now to Drake, is when somebody a sign of a team that respects you is when, first and second down, you're getting a third down defense, or you're getting an unscouted look. So the second you get an unscouted look, it's like, let's get the pure progression. Let's just read this thing out. And I think that's a sign of when a defense respects you, whether it's defense coordinator, team, head coach, whatever, and they respect what you do on offense. Like the second you start getting unscouted looks, they got it. They had to have something in their game plan that week that they've never shown before. Okay, now figure it out as quarterbacks. And then too, like when you're playing a young quarterback, as we did with Drake last year, like what are defensive coordinators trying to do? Confuse the ever living
Right.
daylights out of this quarterback and just make it a mental game on him, because they know physically he can beat them. But let's just get to the nuts and bolts. Let's read this thing out. And it has no disrespect towards the quarterback. It's actually more of a respect towards the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And when you're getting those as a coordinator, obviously I've never been a coordinator, but obviously you have to get into those things, those high rep plays, which gets into the system of, kind of the OG air raid basis of, hey, we're going to be really, really good at a certain amount of plays and understand how to get into green grass and throw people open. And there's air raid principles in the NFL now with Patrick Mahomes
Well,
and obviously
too, like
with Cliff.
you're talking about just repping plays. And I mean, obviously Tanner knows, Quinn knows, like film junkie. Like I just love watching. People always ask me, what's my favorite NFL team? Who has the best offense that year? Because I just
Yeah.
love watching offenses. But like,
Yeah.
if you break it down, the Seahawks, the Rams, the Bears, they just continuously run the same plays over and over and over. All they do is window dress it. So
Right.
what are they doing with it? They're just creating those pictures, those recalls in the head for the quarterback. Hey, you know how to go to on this throw. You know where to go with this run. You know how to go. All we're doing is just changing the formation, changing the motion. And I think that's what a sign of a good offense is.
That's great. And Drake is, like you said, a young quarterback, but maybe had one, freshman moment in a game.
For sure. You're gonna have that.
Against Iowa, right? He didn't play his best, and he told us there's some things that he learned when he was on the show, and uh, I had a lot of freshman moments, not just one. But a kid who he was so steady all year, right? And then maybe even the bowl game, which I look at the bowl game this way, Keegan. You can confirm or deny on this, right? And I'm thinking about this from my own experience. In 2018, I started in the Quick Lane Bowl, and we played Georgia Tech. Last game of that Georgia Tech era before they transitioned
Hmm.
and got into where they are now. Um, we won the game. It wasn't a blowout. Mo had a career day, ran for over 200. Tyler Johnson set a single season record, um, caught a touchdown, and then the next year he had 10 touchdowns, and so did Rashad Bateman. But it was the experience of, okay, I didn't play for a whole month. Now I got to go play a game that I then took into the next year when we're playing Auburn, that I knew what that was like. I knew how to go through it. I knew how to prepare myself for that I was ready. And I still, the first third down, Harbaugh was the quarterback coach and helping call the plays. I threw a pick. We ran like a
Hmm.
slot option. I threw a pick. But I think about where we're at today, where teams are opting out of bowl games. Notre Dame didn't make it to the playoffs, so they opt out of a bowl game. Maybe a different situation than other teams who opted out and decided not to go. You guys joyfully accepted a bowl bid, right? As you should have, right?
Hmm.
And that is just, for me, when I think of just from one perspective of the quarterback, I love bowl games. I think they're great. Obviously, they
Hmm.
might change over the years, but from Drake's perspective, as a guy who, okay, when he started out that game, maybe was trying to force a couple things, wasn't seeing it how he did at the season end, but quickly he went on and snapped, right? Jalen Smith had 2 great catches, the game winner, all those experiences that, allow him to continue to progress. How big is that, you think, from when he goes from bowl game as a redshirt freshman to playoff or bowl game in his second year as a starter?
Yeah, definitely. Like there is such a big gap of when you play your last regular season game to the bowl game, and Quinn, obviously your last year, and we didn't play till January. In that
Yeah,
bowl
like
game,
the
we had,
fourth or
however
fifth or
many days
something.
off. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was super long, but um, you know, staying fresh during that time, and then the other part of it is just like there could be new faces, there could be younger guys that have emerged during that time. They're getting their feet wet, the team that you're playing against, like what changed on their end. They may
Mhm.
have, 8 new starters, and
Yeah.
their defensive coordinator may have left and taken another job. So there's a lot of different things that go into those bowl games. But one thing that we've always talked about with Coach Fleck is bowl games are a celebration.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
they are celebrating the season we just had with a springboard into the next year. And that's what, that bowl game was, and every bowl game that we've ever had here is one of those types of things. And as you guys saw in 24, we got Drake in there with a little bit the 2 quarterback package, and
Yeah.
then this year a lot of younger guys got to play a little bit more. Jalen Smith emerging in that game and whatnot. But you know the transition using that experience, every single game we talk about in the quarterback room with Drake is every game is an experience. So that, like, okay, we've only had 13 games of data with Drake. By the time this is all done, we're hoping to have 20, 30 plus games of data with him and learning experiences and, building into that. Um, I hope that by the end of Drake's tenure, you, I guess, criticize or praise us for whatever we did, not just year one. Like, let's
Right.
take year one into year two into year three, and then let's look back on the whole thing, because every moment is a learning curve. I mean, talked about the Iowa game, and what Drake said when he came on is, I mean, Kinnick's no joke now.
It's
I mean,
not.
I've been there now twice as a coach, once as a fan in the stands. Shout out Western Michigan beating Iowa back when my cousin was playing. That was one of my first experiences there. But
Let's go.
that that's a learning curve in itself, going on the road as a young quarterback, going in a place like that, a hostile environment. Going into Penn State this year will be a learning environment for him, and using all those games leading up. Ohio State at night was a learning experience. So every game is like, okay, what did I do good? What did I do bad? Okay, now what do I take from it and move on to the next one? And I think that's what we're really hitting on with Drake, is like, take everything you've learning, every single situation, every play is a learning moment, and apply it
Yeah.
onto the next snap.
That's
so good.
phenomenal. Well, I think when you're I saw recently at I think it was a CBS Sports, like, way too early top 18 quarterbacks. You don't have to. Please don't say anything. I think I saw it yesterday. Somebody sent it to me where they listed Drake, and I laughed out loud when
Would they have him like
I
14 or
had to keep
15?
scrolling, and I'm like, I think it was like 13. And I kept scrolling and scrolling, and I'm like, where's Drake? Where's Drake? Because it's very evident when you turn on the tape and you watch him play. His first game, I think one of his first completions this year was under center, 5-step drop, plant, ball on a rip, on a sideline out, 14-yard completion on the hash, or on the tick mark sideline, bang, like on a
Was
rope.
that to Coy?
And
Was that to who shall not be named?
Yeah, it was. On TV, it looks like, oh, that's just a routine throw. That ain't easy, ladies and
No.
gentlemen, to get under center, go
Five on
5-step
rhythm.
drop, plant on your back foot, one line in the right position, and then throw a dot with anticipation and timing to the outside receiver. And I think people knew then, like, okay, his arm's special. But like, I've always looked at it as, man, this guy, he could very easily be like the best quarterback ever to play at the University of Minnesota. There's a lot of external factors and things that have to happen his way, but he has all of that, right? Ability and those intangibles. It's a guy that you want to go out and succeed. It's a guy that I watch and I'm like, dude, I hope he throws for like 30 plus touchdowns and breaks my silly little record. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I look at it, of like, whatever, the way you guys were throwing it in the beginning of the year, I'm like, he's definitely throwing for over 3,000 or over 3,200, whatever number I had in 2019. I'm like, there's no shot. Like,
don't pretend like
that
you don't know
record
the
is
exact
gone.
number.
And I hope it is.
Yeah.
It's 32 something. 32
Yeah,
something.
whatever
It was
the
3,000
number
of
is.
them. 32 something. Whatever. But a funny story about that, actually, though, when I when I broke the record for single season passing touchdowns, I legit had no idea. I found out in the post-game press conference by Ryan Burns. I was so concussed and just trying to get back. I got concussed at Kinnick. I was just trying to make it back to the game and played, and game's over. We played at Northwestern, which that stadium is going to be insane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's going to be great for the Big Ten, great for Northwestern. But nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about my stupid little record. All I'm saying is I think it's very clear that Drake can be the guy who he leaves the University of Minnesota in a year or 2, 3, and it has all the records and is looked at as, hey, man, this is the guy who helped bring Minnesota football to the next level, right? And as a fan and alumni, that's what I want to see. And as the guy who's coaching him, I just want to say thank you for all that you're doing to develop in Drake. We're going to go to our honor roll segment. Okay, Quinn, can you explain what the honor roll is to Keegan?
I can, but Drake, if you're watching this, just keep your head down, buddy. All right.
Yeah, we're done.
Okay,
Glazing
too big
you,
of a
sorry.
head. But the honor roll, I know you know what it is, but I'll explain it. Just anything you want to shout out, football related, non-football related, could be your Diet Coke, could be a player, whatever.
You guys are both ripping DCs, by the way.
Yeah. Are you
DCs,
off?
man.
Are you off DC, Tanner? You too good for a Diet Coke?
Dude, listen, my wife doesn't listen to this podcast anyway. She doesn't care. But thanks, Sarah. She's big, like no aspartame. She thinks it's really bad for you. And I'm like,
it is, but
I'm
whatever.
like in between. You want me to get real dark here? My dad, I don't
Sure.
think I ever saw my dad drink water ever. My dad died of brain
DCs
cancer.
only.
He ripped only DCs. So I do have a thought in my head of like, did the Diet Cokes? But then it's like, there's so many other factors and who knows. But
Yeah.
he turned to Coke Zero. His brand stayed the same, but his
No.
allegiance to the drink changed.
Their
So
offensive
different.
staff lives on Diet Cokes. The offensive staff lives on Diet Cokes.
Well,
you and Norris Wilson.
I love Norris. Norris lives by the caffeine plus nicotine equals protein protocol.
But anyway,
is there some
honor roll. I'll go first. Tanner 100% has 2 that he wants to list.
Yeah.
My honor roll this week is a home cooked meal. Like there's nothing better. Like I was thinking about the times when I was at the U and going to the AV&C and just getting sick of that food. Now I'm living at home. I'm getting blessed by my mom. She's making dinner for me and the fam. So yeah, I have a little notes app on my phone of like honor rolls that I can shout out. And most recently I was eating a home cooked meal by my mom and I'm like, this is my honor roll this week because there's nothing better.
What's your favorite one?
Oh gosh.
What's your favorite thing she makes?
She makes this beef tenderloin that is to die for. Like I'm one of 7, so she would get literally like this like 2-foot slab of beef tenderloin, cook it in the oven with all the fixings, and she cooks it perfectly. So go to town on that. Hopefully have some leftovers for a steak Sammy the next day, but that's my favorite mom makes. What about you guys? You guys
Just
got
one?
a favorite home cooked meal for the ladies? From the ladies?
Tanner, you or me first?
You go ahead.
Tanner's acting like Sarah doesn't cook anything.
No. That's terrible. I
Kraft
love my
mac
wife.
and
She's a
cheese.
great cook.
No, dude. Me and my wife, Taylor. I mean, she does the cooking, whether it's in season or the winter. When it comes to the summer, I got the grill. I got the Blackstone. I'll serve that one up. But I love meatloaf, dude. Like, love it.
Yes.
And she makes a great. As funny as it sounds, she makes great meatloaf. Can't go wrong with that one. Whenever she asks, I'm like, meatloaf does great with chili. Chili's always ripping in the
I could go for
in
some
the
chili
fall,
right now.
no doubt.
That's a Midwest
sounds
boy
so
right
good.
there.
Oh,
Chili
yeah.
and meatloaf.
What y'all know about that Cincinnati chili though? That Skyline chili, baby. Delicious.
I've never had it.
Cholitos.
I've never had it.
You'll feel terrible after you eat them, but they're great.
No doubt.
So Sarah's, I would say she does this this like shrimp scampi-ish pasta that's delicious. But she makes homemade cinnamon rolls. And they are, I mean, she gets locked in and they are delicious. I mean, Sarah's gluten-free, so she'll like every time she makes pancakes, it's like from scratch. And so they're delicious. It just takes forever to make, but they're great. And I love my wife. She's a great cook. However, her mom is a phenomenal cook. She's really good. Yeah, she's very good. Anyway,
at least it's in the blood.
My honor roll. Okay. Sarah's a great cook. I mean, it's hard to cook when you've got a 2.5-year-old and a 7-month-old. You don't have a lot of time to prep and get things going. Keegan's learning that as a new dad.
No
Congratulations,
doubt.
Keegan. Congratulations.
Yep. Appreciate it. Shout out Brady.
Yeah, Brady boy.
Let's go.
Named after Brady Quinn. That's what I heard. That's what they're saying on the show.
No, Brady Gagne.
No, we'll go with
Named
the
after
other.
Brady Gagne.
Yeah, Brady Gagne. Yeah, no, the other Brady quarterback.
Yeah, we like that
We'll
guy
go
better
there.
anyway. He won a lot more games. My honor roll number 1, super basic. It's spring ball. It's when you're getting right up to that first spring ball practice and you have that excitement / paranoia of like, how is this going to go? What is the defense going to do?
Yeah.
Are they going to install something different? Are they going to play cover 3? You know, you're talking to the defense coaches and the defense players. Like, hey, what do you guys got in? Yeah, quarters in. Is it 3? What are you playing? Because you know it's going to be something basic. Or maybe it's not. Maybe the guy tries to install, half the playbook and the first install. You just don't know what's going to happen. And I love that, which is gonna parlay. This is still one, Quinn, by the way, is when spring ball starts and spring ball Twitter starts going off. I love
All the
spring ball
clips.
Twitter.
Yeah.
I love spring ball Twitter because everybody's a genius and everybody's an All-American. And so you're getting the highlights from everybody. You're seeing the practice clips. You're seeing the practice photos. You're seeing the new quarterbacks that are emerging at the new schools. And it takes a while now in the portal world to figure out, like, oh, that's right.
Oh, he's here.
He is here. Oh my gosh.
It's like NFL free agency during training camps. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, dude, I forgot.
Dude, yeah, exactly. You're like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that dude. He was a great player. I forgot he left. Which, by the way, Mike Evans left the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and signed with the San Francisco 49ers on a 3-year deal. Very interesting.
Shout out Quinn Carroll. Shout out Angel Matute.
Shout out Angel Matute.
49ers. 49ers.
That is massive, by the way. Big shout out to Angel.
We got to get Angel on the pod.
Great job, Angel. Yeah. Climber. My second honor roll is going to be Topo Chico's with a lime. It's delicious.
Oh, my gosh.
Nice sparkling.
You slip anything in there or no?
Well, no, like, pop them off too. So you feel like, maybe you're drinking a cold snack, but you're really drinking a sparkling water in the middle of the day. But it's just a great, refreshing. You guys have your fridge cigs as Diet Cokes. I'm trying to get off the aspartame. My fridge sig is the Topo Chico. Honorable mention number 3, which has yet to happen for me. But the first time you get to tee it up and go play golf in the spring, and Keegan, I know that's not going to happen for you for a while.
Nope.
But, my wife's out of town right now, and I'm like, can I sneak 9 in the next 2 days? Oh, wait, it's going to snow tomorrow, so that's not going to happen. But I'm already thinking about the first time you get to tee it up for the first time at the golf course. You always play better than you think you're going to because you have no expectations. Doubt. You're like, I'm just out here to have fun. I don't care. Whatever.
Never
many mulligans.
You can never go in the range first. You just gotta go straight dry.
You just go straight rip it. The first drive, you're like, oh my gosh, that actually wasn't bad. Then you look at the scorecard at the end of the round, but it's that first round where you get to play golf in the year. It's just, there's something about it. It's the first one, and then the last one, you're kind of like, all right, like I'm ready to be done. But that first one, man, it's special. And
no doubt.
I'm excited for that, and I'm going to take full advantage when that gets to happen for me.
Keegan, somehow roll a 30
What's your honor roll? Or honor rolls?
Okay, I got two. Before hopping on this, we talked about a nice day here in Minnesota today. We finally cracked over 45, sun's out. I mean, you might as well be out there 80, 90 degrees at this point. But took a little first family walk. Out there. So out there in the sun, going a little walk, had the dog out there. Nice. The first walk of the year, that spring, crisp weather, there's good things ahead with the weather. So that's the first one. Second one, playing into the good weather is day baseball games.
Ooh,
I'm a diehard White Sox fan, as you guys know. I love baseball. I watch all 162 games of misery, but I'm tuned in. But a day baseball game, like going to the game, going in the ballpark, can't beat it. I mean, as when some of the guys go out on the road recruiting, Coach Sheehan, Coach Foss, kind of, hey, Twins got a noon game today. You guys want to go?
I love it.
So those are good. Go there, noon game. Have a dog. No, it is a great ballpark. It really is. One of my only bucket list really is to go to every single ballpark in the major leagues. That is up there in the top 3, no doubt.
Really,
great place to see a game.
I've ran into Keeks at Target Field.
Yep.
Couple deep.
Great spot.
But I'm going to opening day. I think next week, or maybe it's
spring training right now.
2 weeks. I think
2 weeks.
End
is
of
opening
March.
day.
Last week of March.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2-3
but I'm
weeks.
going.
I feel like I
always
would have
go.
loved spring training if I was a baseball player. I feel like I would have loved that.
That's
Dude,
always been a
people-
bucket list to get down there during spring ball. Go
Yeah.
down there
Yeah.
or during spring break.
Yeah.
Go see a
That's
spring
the one
training
thing
game.
when you're in Tampa, you drive by all the Yankee stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you wonder, you know,
No doubt.
what could it be like? Also, shout out that first walk as a family. Congratulations.
Yep.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, there's probably still snow on the ground, and the ground's probably
A
soaking
little
wet.
bit. Oh, you're wrangling in the dog. Like, no, yeah. Over there. It's all muddy, dude.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yep.
People ask me, they're like, if you didn't play football, what sport would it be? It'd be baseball 100%. You could play for
100%.
so long. Like, these guys are
So
much older than football players, making so much more money. So I could be really good
Yeah,
at one
I
sport.
remember
it'd be
like
baseball.
when Kyler Murray was coming out of college, and he was like he
Yeah.
was with the A's or whatever, and it was like, oh, he's gonna play. I'm like, dude, go play baseball. Baseball,
Maybe
man. Go
a
much,
future
much
teammate
longer.
of Max Brosmer.
Yeah.
Potentially,
see.
who knows? That's a big hiccup on what does Kyler do? I mean,
If I'm
he's
him,
only
I go
going to
play
get paid.
baseball. It's not too late
No,
for him to go
why?
play baseball. Kyler? Are you kidding? It's not too
Why,
late for
dude?
him.
He's pot committed already. He's pot committed. He's got
Yeah.
to keep going.
Yeah, I suppose.
He was
But anyway,
the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. Number
Yes.
1, number 8th overall in by the
Baseball.
A's. I mean,
Yeah.
unless he wants to go live in Las Vegas and doesn't want to be Fernando Mendoza's backup, who knows? I don't know.
True. But anyway, Keegs, thanks for jumping on, man. We appreciated having you. You're the best.
Appreciate
we love
you
you
guys
here on the
having me.
pod. We'll definitely have you back sometime. Good luck in spring ball. Congrats on Brady O'Hara. That's the most Irish name I've ever heard in my life.
It's
No doubt, man.
fantastic.
I
St.
love
Patrick's
it.
Day coming up. Gotta get them ready.
Let's go. But anyway, thanks again for jumping on, and have a good one, man. We'll see you soon.
And row the boat,
Appreciate you
Sky
guys.
Go Gophers.
Go Gophers.
Let's go, baby.